Hello, my friends. I want to talk about learning from ebbs today. This is such an enormous part of recovery. It's kind of piggybacking on my last video about being outside your training zone. Being outside your training zone when you're in an ebb, those are times that can actually build that your recovery. They build your brain. There's the most potent times in your recovery, and I want to explain why and how that is. So, a couple things that happen when we're outside our training zone, when we're in an ebb, and this could be an ebb that happens for no reason. It could be that you got, I don't know, sick or something, and you had an ebb from that you stepped outside your training zone, that some other stressor is in your life. It doesn't matter why the ebb's there. If you are in a time where you're very neuroplastic and things are very heightened, it is the most magical time. And here's why. Oftentimes, we are given the opportunity to build the brain function that we need in order to heal when we're in an ebb. So one example of that is often when we're in a really intense time and there's a lot of limbic activity, and we are in a place where we really need to learn. It's really important. It's essential. It's like the only thing that matters is to figure out how to keep your attention on something positive that helps stabilize your brain, helps keep you calm, focused, enjoy whatever it is, whatever the state that you're cultivating is. There is an incredibly strong executive function that's built. We have to keep executing our ability to keep our attention on what we want it to be on when the limbic system is pulling at it so hard. It's like a really intense isometric exercise, if that makes sense, or like weightlifting for your brain, to be keeping your attention when all the gravitational pull is your brain trying to go back to fear, to trauma loops, to despair, whatever it's trying to go to focusing on symptoms, whatever it may be. That executive function gets so strong during that time. Your ability to maintain emotionally focused attention gets so strong. And that is one of the key skills of recovery. And it builds a lot of, executive function. That's one example. Something else that can happen, there can be times in recovery where thinking is very difficult, and you think about anything, it's very triggering. I went through a time like that where I learned to rely on my instincts. And that's something that most of us need to do in this journey, is learn how to be more in tune with our intuition and our animal instincts, and rely more on trusting the impulses that arise from the body instead of overthinking and thinking about things. Because the amount of stress we experience and the amount of feeling of threat our limbic system experiences when we're always thinking about problems all the time and trying to mentally figure out parts of life that are meant to be more instinctual, like hunger cues, movement, things like that. A lot of things we rewire around, like around movement, energy, eating, learning how to trust your intuition and your instincts and follow those instead of overthinking basic things like food and movement, or anything about your environment, is one of the biggest things that removes a tremendous amount of load from your brain as you recover, is learning how to trust your instincts. And there can be times where the nature of the activation forces us to learn these new ways of being, because there's just no other direction to go in. And it's incredible. But the thing is, you won't know this until it's over, though. And that's why I always will tell you, trust the process. That's why people say that, because we don't know what gift or what function the process is gifting us the opportunity to build until we're past it. So always do what works in the moment you're in, and nothing else matters, because in the end, you'll realize there is this incredible order and wisdom to the process, even in seemingly random things like getting the flu or something, and it created this activation, but you broke through your fear of getting sick, or you had some other totally unrelated breakthrough because of an ebb around that. The other thing that can happen with this is we learn lessons about ourselves. There is often, when we're in an ebb and the activation is so strong, especially when you get to the point where you can single things out, something that causes a lot of stress for a lot of folks with LSI is other people and their opinions about you, the way they treat you, all this sort of thing. And when we take that too seriously, or we can't act because we're so afraid of what someone else might think, or our self-worth is tied up in how others perceive us, or in how we're performing, whether that's in our recovery or in work or in any area of life, we'll often hit points where the only way forward, the activation is clearly being created by, we're pushing because we feel like, I'm not good enough. I won't be able to stay connected. And we need connection for survival. And if I can't be accepted, then I can't be connected. I can't be safe. But then we learn this new way of being where it's like, oh, belonging and safety actually start within. As an adult, I only need my own approval. And I know me, learning how to say, well, how I perceive myself and the truth that I know about, from my own heart and soul of who I am and what my journey of life has been and what options I've had, that's real. And other people's opinions and reflections on that aren't real. And I don't need to be afraid of them because they're not real. And sometimes these are just some kind of random examples, but these are some kinds of lessons where when we're in ebbs of certain kinds, over time it becomes more clear. It is such a gift where we're able to let go of these old trauma-based ways of living from the fawn response or whatever it may be. The only way, though, is if the activation gets so intense and we can only go in that one direction, it gives us the opportunity to break free in a way we wouldn't be able to any other way. Because if there's the ability for a trauma pattern to stay, it'll stay. It's not going to go anywhere. So that's something, whenever you're in an ebb, you don't need to know what the lesson is. You don't need to look for it. Just do what works and know that there is a divine and mysterious order and wisdom to the process. And no matter what you're going through, if you just do what you can and do what works, that part of your journey is going to serve a purpose in your recovery. It's building something you need to be the recovered version of yourself. Know that. Love you guys.